different percentages of the work.
Aboriginal companies were invited to bid. These companies had to be 51% owned, and they have to show that they can reach 75% or more Aboriginal participation workforce. So 3 companies ended up winning the bid. There's one from Eskasoni, Norman Morris Construction, from Member 2, MB2 Construction, and then there's Member 2 itself, the community formed a company, and the 3 of them are working on this project.
Norman Morris was awarded 60% of the contract. MB2 was awarded 25% of the contract, and Member 2 Haskell was awarded 15%.
The project management itself was not done by any of or none of the 3 firms. The project management stayed with ERCTech.
The cooling ponds, it's like a big pool. They use the water to cool the steel that was coming out of the steel plant, and then it was pumped into this cooling ponds to do exactly what it sounds like, is to cool. The sediment that came off of the steel went to the bottom of this cooling pond, and most of it is metallic.
Our remediation strategy here was to take slag and cement powder, blend it in with the sediments, and reach a compressive strength and a leachate criteria that shows us it will not leach into the environment.
The cooling ponds, it had quite a bit of water on it. I think they had estimated 16 million liters of water sat on the top of this, but it turned out to be well over 20 million liters. The water had to be pumped off. It took quite a bit of time to pump off the water.
Water has been our big problem here. Any surface water that runs into the pond or collects on the pond has to be treated before it's discharged and meet criteria. And that's a huge issue.
The guys over there, they're removing the pipe, and that pipe was connected to the cooling pond when they were draining out the water.
The wall that was around the cooling ponds will have been removed and cleaned and taken to a storage area where it'll be disposed of later. Once the water was removed, the cooling ponds remediation itself is called an S&S process, which means solidification and stabilization. We took sections called cells, and each of these cells was excavated, and Portland cement was pumped in, and it was mixed with slag and with the sediment that was in the cooling ponds. Each section was turned into a solid block, and those solid blocks, each one of them would be overcut. So when they do the section next to it, they would cut out a foot and redo that one again, so that this block would be one solid block when it's completed, and then it would be covered with clay, covered with topsoil, and then seeded over the top.
We started in November with some pre-mobilization activities, getting our erosion controls in place, and a lot of the activity was awaiting final permitting. We really started in earnest around the 1st of December.
That's not a great time of year to start a project like this. We were talking about doing earthwork and cement work, and pretty challenging, and the workers on the project met all the challenges.
It started to get cold pretty quick. We had a lot of snow in December. We had snow removal efforts almost daily throughout December, and then it got really cold. The pond froze hard. There was up to a foot of ice on the pond. We missed one day throughout the winter for a weather shutdown, and that was due to wind. Is that right?
Yes.
The cold and the snow never shut us down, nor did the rain.
It was a tough winter. We had a lot of snow, a lot of rain, a lot of ice, and the contractors and their employees worked steadily through it. We had to fight freezing hoses, freezing temperatures, freezing conditions. There were no complaints. Guys were out there all day long. They've really done a good job. Our goal was to stabilize the pond on time and on budget, and to satisfy the terms so the Aboriginal satisfied, and I believe we've done both.
One of the big challenges that we had in putting together this process was the labor content. We have quite a bit of work happening, as well as Norman Morris, Joe Parsons, MB2 Haskell. We all have quite a few different projects on the go. It was a concern initially, but when the tender was actually awarded and the way it was awarded, it worked out perfectly, because we were able to hit that 75% and even higher most of the time.
I was handling my father's paperwork for the Moore's truck and part of it for the Moore's Venture, and we received tons of resumes. My father and I sat down and decided who we were going to choose for the project, who will be working in the Cooling Pond project. When we first started, the first couple weeks, we received training. We had like about 3 or 4 training days. There's a lot of training that we had to go through, and fire safety, fire extinguisher, like all types of training. It was really helpful because there's some people that didn't know how to work in a construction site. I was always around construction, so I knew what to do and what not to do. But there's some guys walking in there that didn't know about the construction world, so we had to get training on that. The guy sitting in the 450 there, excavator, he's training actually. He was coming in here as a laborer. They give us an opportunity to try things out, to get on a heavy machinery and try it out, see if we can work it and practice. I'm happy that they're giving a chance to operate a piece of machinery. It was helpful, and it will be helpful for the future for us as well.
All of our laborers that are in there now have certain skill sets that they've acquired on this job. And it's good because it's going to help us carry over into another job, as well as if there's any other jobs that come up that we get, we can go after other people that are from other reserves as well that have these skill sets now. All of our workers are not just from Membertou, but rather we have some people from Eskasoni, some people that work for us are from Nyanza. We pulled them from every reserve that we could that were people that wanted to work. A lot of them we did have in place. A lot of them were already working for me at the time. One particular person we had to bring was a sample tech. She's actually now currently the sample tech that's working within the Cooling Pond right now.
If there was a gap in this, is that we have to have people that can do the geotechnical work and do the surveying that's required. I think that's probably the only real gap that I see here. Other than that, most of them came with the training that they needed to do this job successfully.
When we did the initial training requirements for the project, and when I tried to lay out where we were going to be, I was amazed at the skill level that these guys brought to the job. These guys they're not afraid to move on and learn new tasks. They're multi-talented as far as I'm concerned. These guys can operate equipment, and they're very eager to take on new tasks and learn. And these guys, when they leave this project, they're going to gain employment with other contractors. Certainly, if not in the tar ponds field, in other areas of construction. The Aboriginal people come in here are very quiet, and they leave here with a very quiet confidence. That's what I've noticed about the crew here. They've achieved everything that we've ever thought they could, and I think there's a great deal of pride involved here.
I'm very proud of the people that are working on this cooling project from all 3 companies and all the members of our communities that have pitched in to make this a successful project. This was hard negotiating to get us to this point. We're the first companies out of the gate. That's important for the confidence of our people to look at projects in the future, whether it's in remediation with the coal mines or remediation with whatever future sites there are.